Hello, third grade champions. We're continuing with our Magic Treehouse book, and I hope you're reading along from the book from your Invest for Success bag. And we are beginning at the top of page 24, just kind of going back a little bit and starting at the top of page 24. Yes, said Teddy, but I cannot imagine what the next two lines could mean. He read from the note. Look for knights and small round cows, a crack in a rock beneath the boughs. Teddy looked up. Do you understand this? Not really, said Jack. There weren't any knights fighting in World War II. Indeed not, said Teddy. And small round cows, a crack in a rock, boughs. What does that all mean? He folded the note and handed it to Annie. Well, I trust you to figure this out. I know you are expert decoders. You're kidding, said Jack. Us? Of course, said Teddy. When Kathleen and I went with you to New York City, you figured out the secret poem to free the unicorn from the museum tapestry, remember? And Morgan's missions for you were often written as riddles. Yes, but, started Jack. We have to find Kathleen, said Teddy. I cannot lose her. So many people have been lost in this war. It really is the darkest time. Truly a terrible time. It's okay, Teddy, Annie said. We'll help you. Of course we will, said Jack. We'll do our best. Teddy took a deep breath and smiled. Thank you, my friends, he said. I am most grateful and sorry that I cannot be with you in France. You're not coming with us? Jack asked. No. Tonight, the SOE is sending me on an urgent mission to rescue downed airmen in Holland and Belgium, said Teddy. I must do so before daylight. Wow, said Annie. Is it the sort of thing that SOE does every day, said Teddy. Then he clapped his hands together. All right, let us roll up our sleeves and get moving. It is time you put on your parachutes. Parachutes? Said Jack. Yes, said Teddy. You cannot jump from a plane without parachutes. He picked up his duffel bag and strode off. Wait, did he say we're going to jump from a plane? Jack asked Annie. He did, said Annie. But don't worry. He said he'd give us some magic. She hurried after Teddy. I know, but, began Jack. Come along, Jack, Teddy called to him. The moon is rising over Glastonbury Tor. Chapter 3, Spy Taxi. A full moon glowed over Glastonbury Tor as Jack and Annie followed Teddy between the hedges. Moon shadows stretched along the ground. Teddy rounded a tall bush at the edge of the Abbey grounds. There she is, he said. He pointed to a small plane sitting in an open field. Oh man, said Jack, is that real? He thought the tiny plane looked like a cartoon. A single propeller was attached to its rounded nose, and it had big, chunky tires. Yeah, we call it a spy taxi, said Teddy. It was made especially for secret operations. It can fly low under enemy radar and land in tight places. How many people does it carry? Asked Jack. It is designed to carry only a pilot and one passenger, said Teddy. But it also has room for supply canisters, which I am not carrying. So one of you can take that space. But what about when we add Kathleen, said Annie. Do not worry, said Teddy. I think we can all squeeze together. And if that does not work, perhaps with the magic you bring her, Kathleen can make everyone fit. Good, said Jack. He was eager to get the wand of Dianthus from Teddy. And another question. Where will you pick us up? In the same place I drop you off, said Teddy. I have been to that drop zone before. It is a lonely field and, to the best of our knowledge, not under enemy observation. You will have to get back there from wherever you find Kathleen. Got it, said Annie. But an equally important question is when I will pick you up, said Teddy. And that is a question you we'll have to answer. How do we answer it? Asked Annie. When you know that it's time to leave, you must send me a secret message, said Teddy. By pigeon? Asked Annie. No. A carrier pigeon might be difficult for you to find. It would be easier to send a message over a wireless radio, said Teddy. What should our message say? Asked Annie. In your message, say, Teddy thought for a moment and then smiled. Say, the unicorn is free. And, wait, said Jack. He wrote in his notebook, the unicorn is free. And then add the date and time, said Teddy. Send that message over a wireless radio, and I will pick you up at that time in the field where I drop you tonight. How do we find a wireless radio? Asked Jack. As you go about your mission, be on the lookout for members of the French resistance, said Teddy. Any one of them will help you find a wireless. What's the French resistance? Asked Annie. Throughout France, there are French citizens who are secretly fighting back against the Nazis who have occupied their country, Teddy explained. They are called resistance fighters. They live very dangerous lives. If a member of the resistance is caught by the Nazis, he or she will be imprisoned or killed. That's terrible, said Annie. So how do we find someone in the French resistance? There are many ways, said Teddy. The simplest way, though, is to make the V is for victory sign. He held up two fingers in the shape of a V. It is a secret way for one resistance fighter to recognize another. You can make the sign with your fingers. Draw it on a piece of paper, scratch it into the dirt, or signal any way you can. Jack and Annie both held fingers up in a V is for victory sign. Good, but be very careful, said Teddy. If you give the sign to the wrong person, you could end up in the hands of the enemy. Teddy reached into his large duffel bag and took out some clothes. These are your disguises, he said. He handed Jack and Annie each a pair of corduroy overalls and a long-sleeved shirt. They pulled them on over their shorts and T-shirts. And these, said Teddy, he handed them each a pair of boots. They took off their sneakers and pulled on their boots. And a field pack instead of your backpack, said Teddy. He gave Jack an old-fashioned looking pack with buckles. You will have to wear it on your chest. Your parachute will be on your back. Jack moved his notebook, pen, and pencil from his backpack into the field pack. He left his backpack beside his sneakers. And now your flying gear, said Teddy. He took out 2 leather helmets and 2 pairs of goggles. Jack and Annie each pulled on a tight-fitting leather helmet. Then Jack positioned his goggles over his glasses. And a torchlight, said Teddy. He handed a large, heavy flashlight to Jack. Jack put the flashlight into the field pack. And now, Teddy climbed up a short stepladder to the door of the plane and pulled out 2 bulky contraptions. They looked like long canvas backpacks attached to a complicated web of straps and buckles. Your parachute harnesses, he said, descending the stepladder. Come on, I will strap you in. One at a time, Teddy buckled Jack and Annie into their parachutes. Then he attached the field pack to the front of Jack's harness. So how does all this work, said Jack. He was fighting to stay calm. Teddy pointed to a large metal ring on the strap across Jack's chest. This is your ripcord handle. When you pull it, it will release your parachute. Okay, but when do we pull it? Asked Jack. After you step off the plane, you will plunge through the open air, said Teddy. Count to 5, then pull hard on the handle. Easy. Easy? Jack felt a little sick already. Remember, jump quickly one after the other, Teddy said. If you do not, you will land too far apart and lose each other completely. Got it, said Annie. And finally, said Teddy, he handed them each a printed card with a small photograph. Identity cards. You now have French names, Jean and Ami. Where did you get our photos? Asked Jack. A tap of the wand helped with that, said Teddy. Cool, said Jack. He was relieved when he remembered they would have the wand of Dianthus. He thought their mission would be impossible without magic. Climb aboard, said Teddy. He scrambled up the stepladder. Annie bounded after him. Jack didn't know how she did it. The parachute equipment felt very heavy and clumsy to him. He climbed awkwardly into the plane after Teddy and Annie. Teddy was already sitting in the pilot's seat in front of a control panel. "Position yourselves behind me," he said. Jack and Annie crouched in the narrow space behind the pilot's seat, squashed by their parachute gear. "Remember, when you jump, face the earth," said Teddy. "Arch your back, spread your arms out, and count to 5. Then pull the ripcord handle. As you float down, keep your elbows close in, then roll onto your left side." Wait, said Jack. "Can you go over all that again?" "Easy," said Teddy. 8 simple steps. "Hold on, I'll write them down," said Jack. He pulled out his notebook and pencil from the field pack as Teddy gave the directions again. Jack wrote: 1, legs together. 2, face earth. 3, arch back. 4, spread arms. 5, count to 5. 6, pull ripcord. 7, elbows in. 8, roll to the left. Annie and Jack stared at the notebook, whispering the steps to themselves. "Got it," said Annie. "After you land," said Teddy, "roll up your chutes and hide them. Hide your helmets and goggles too, and destroy your notes." "Got it," said Annie. "All right," said Teddy. "Gas, oil." Jack peered around Teddy as the instrument panel. There were at least a dozen round gauges. Some monitored oil pressures, fuel pressure, and temperature. There were also compasses, brake controls, knobs, buttons, switches, and levers. "Oh man," thought Jack, "he must have had a lot of training," he said to Teddy. "Indeed, a full week," said Teddy. "A week? That's all?" said Jack. "Yes, it was very intense," said Teddy as he started flipping switches. "They said I was a natural." Green lights lit up the panel. Needles swung right and left. "Air intake control," Teddy announced. He turned a knob. "It is much easier than learning magic." Jack felt a wave of panic. "Teddy, slow down," he said. "Engine starter button," Teddy shouted, pushing a button. "Teddy, are you sure you know how to do this?" Jack said, but his voice was drowned out by the sound of the engine as the propeller started to spin. The big wheels began rolling. The plane shook as it bumped over the grass. Then, rocking from side to side, the spy taxi lifted into the air as the tiny, cramped plane climbed higher into the moonlit night. Teddy pushed more buttons and pulled more levers and shouted out more information. His heart racing, Jack tried to focus on the 8 steps. He whispered: "Legs together, face the earth, arch back, spread arms, count to 5, pull ripcord, elbows in, roll to the left." "What does that mean?" Jack shook Annie's arm. "What does number 8 mean?" he shouted. "What?" she yelled back. "Number 8, shouted Jack, jabbing his finger at the list. "Do you roll in the air or roll on the ground?" "I think on the ground," Annie answered. Jack nodded. That made sense. As the plane rumbled through the night, Jack whispered the instruction to himself again and again. "We are crossing the English Channel," Teddy called. "Normandy soon, and your dropping point. Get ready." Jack crammed his notebook and his pencil back into his field pack. His fingers were trembling so much he had trouble buckling it. "We are over France now," shouted Teddy. "Oh no," murmured Jack. "We are coming to the drop zone," cried Teddy. "Get ready to jump." Jack froze with fear. "Open the door," yelled Teddy. Jack couldn't move. Annie pulled up the latch, slid the door open, and crouched at the edge of the plane. With the door open, the roar of the engine and propellers was deafening. Jack looked down at the endless dark. "No way can I jump," he thought. "Not without magic help." Jack bolted upright. "Oh no, we forgot to get the wand. Teddy, we need," Jack shouted. Teddy couldn't hear him. "Jump," he yelled. "Wait, magic for Kathleen," cried Jack. It was too late. Annie leaned out of the plane. She fell forward, arching her back and spreading out her arms. "Teddy, the magic!" cried Jack. "Jump, Jack!" Teddy yelled. Jack had no choice. He had to jump now, or he'd land far away from Annie, and they'd never find each other. Jack closed his eyes and hurled himself out of the plane, down into the moonlit, windless night. That was a good chapter. We're going to stop there on page 39, and tomorrow we will begin chapter 4, Behind Enemy Lines. Thank you, boys and girls. I look forward to reading with you tomorrow.